Hi, I'm Nicole McKenzie, founder, mortgage and insurance specialist here at Dun & McCarthy Mortgages. And today I am joined by a very special guest, Sophie Ellis, who's here from Beswicks Solicitors. And she's a conveyancing and property associate solicitor that's going to fill us in, give us an introduction to conveyancing and tell us what it's all about. So stay tuned to find out more. Now guys, before we get into the detail of today's video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you never miss any future uploads. And as you know, we here at DM Mortgages do not monetize this channel, and we do that to give you the best viewing experience. So when the time comes to look at your mortgage or remortgage options, then make sure that you head over to our website, which is dm.mortgage, and there you can book in for a free of charge mortgage appointment. And of course, the topic of today is conveyancing. So also, if you need to look at your conveyancing options, I'm going to drop details in the description below so that you know who to contact. So Sophie, how are you? Thank you for joining.
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So can we start, Sophie, by just filling us in on what it is that you do at Beswicks? Just give us a bit more.
So I work in the residential property department. So I am a qualified solicitor. I'm an associate solicitor in the department. So I help clients, businesses, companies, landlords, a whole range of different people in purchasing their properties, whether that's first-time buyers or people who have portfolios of properties. So and I act in all sorts of different areas. So leaseholds, new builds, right to buys, and your standard sales and purchases.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. So can you tell us what role the conveyancer plays in the house buying process in terms of some of the steps that you undertake to make sure that a property is legally and physically sound for the buyer?
Yeah, so in terms of the property being physically sound, obviously that would be for the surveyor.
Yes.
We would always recommend clients and buyers to have a survey. Obviously that could show any pitfalls, any issues. Some things may even be flagged that will, put off the purchase, and that is really strong advice to have a survey. It is obviously an additional cost. It's something that you need to budget for, but when you're buying a house that's sort of 100, 200, 300,000 pounds, it's invaluable really. So in terms of the physical state of the property, as I say, that would be for a surveyor. In terms of ensuring the property is legally fit for purpose, obviously that is our role as a solicitor. So what we do is we will receive the contract pack from the seller solicitor. We will review that, we will order searches, we will go through the searches, we will raise enquiries based on the information and the documents supplied, and any enquiries that the buyer wishes to raise, we can ask those questions as well. So we look into everything from start to finish, ask any necessary questions, and then report to our buyer with the findings.
Okay, great. So touching on searches even, I was going to come on to this a bit later, but now you've brought it up. Can you explain and tell us a little bit more about what is involved in searches and why it's in the buyer's best interest to get searches? Because I'll be honest, we're dealing with a lot of first-time buyers. Often they don't know what searches are, but also when they're going through the conveyancing process, buyers do tend to get very impatient and not truly understand the value of the conveyancing process. So can you just fill us in on that?
So searches do obviously add time onto the purchase, but when buyers are having a mortgage, they are mandatory. So that speaks volumes, how important they are. If somebody is a cash buyer, it is up to them, but we always strongly recommend that they have searches because they are definitely invaluable. There's a range of searches we offer. The standard ones are usually drainage and water. So that's showing, your mains, drainage, your sewerage, surface water, whether there's any pipes in the boundaries of the properties. We have the coal and mining search, if, that is relevant to the area. Any subsidence, coal mining, and any coal mine entries. Then we have a local search, that is building regulations, planning permissions, tree preservation orders. And then we have an environmental search, any contaminated land, etc. So they are really valuable searches are, because they give so much information about the property that we wouldn't know, or the buyer wouldn't know. And again, that will then carry on with questions, any issues, things that perhaps a buyer wouldn't even think could exist really, so they are definitely worth having. They're around sort of £300 in terms of costings, so it is something to take in consideration, especially for first time buyers with budgeting, but as I say, you know, they are definitely something we would recommend.
Okay, and as well, just touching on that, because there are lots of third parties when you're conducting searches that you have to contact, isn't there?
Exactly, yes.
And I think one of the frustrations sometimes comes from buyers, why is it taking so long? But they don't understand that there's so many third parties that you have to involve, is that right?
Yes, we do. That's the thing, you know, we could be the quickest solicitors in the world, but we are reliant on third parties. So that is the nature of the conveyancing process. We are dependent on third parties, we're dependent on the searches coming back. We then have to review the searches, interpret the searches. We then may have to raise inquiries with the seller solicitor about the searches, and sometimes if something is flagged, we will have to report it to the mortgage lender.
So then, Sophie, can you tell us what are some of the most important documents that buyers will need to be will be expected to sign during the conveyancing process, and what does that entail?
Yeah, so in terms of giving a bit of advice about documents and information, there is obviously going to be a lot of information when you're buying your first property. First time buyers obviously aren't as familiar with the process because, you know, the name says that, you know, they've never done it before, the first time buyers. So it sounds a bit of a cliche, but I would say, you know, look at everything, read everything. You would be surprised how many people, you know, don't read information, don't read emails, don't read documents. So that would be my first bit of advice, is just make sure you read everything. So even from the outset, solicitors will send their terms of engagement. That details their fees, you know, their terms and conditions of business, what happens if the sale falls through, how will they be charged, you know, do they owe all of the invoice, do they owe an abortive invoice, is it a percentage? So particularly again when first time buyers are budgeting, it's something to look out for. So in terms of the documents that they will sign, the standard documents will be the contract, the transfer, the stamp duty land tax form and the mortgage deed. Obviously it will vary on each client because sometimes they will have lifetime ISAs, help to buy ISAs, so they may have to sign additional documents, but what I've just mentioned are the standard documents for signing. So how we go about it is, once we are ready to confirm a completion date, we will have our report on title. That will be our whole report based on the purchase file, and the client, again, please, anybody who gets that, just read it, because obviously it's so imperative to go through everything, because that before exchange is a buyer's last chance to ask any questions, raise anything they're unsure of. Once we exchange and completed, and then, you know, you look at the information, you know, later on down the line, it's obviously too late. So it's important to read all the documents, and as I say, they will get those documents for signing just before completion.
And no, I completely agree. And also you touched on a really valuable point in terms of the fee structure. You know, do you get a percentage of the fee back if the sale doesn't go through, etc.? Because often as a mortgage broker, I get clients ask me, well, what happens if the sale falls through and I've started the searches? And I say, well, every solicitor is different, so you need to speak to you know, who it is that you're working with, and it's important, because similarly, sometimes people like to delay starting the searches, but then the risk of that is that you're going to be delayed moving in.
Exactly,
so Going on to timescales, how long does the conveyancing process usually take? I know the answer to this, but I think it's good for viewers to know. So they can manage their expectations.
We say on average around 6 to 8 weeks. That is an absolute average, because we are so dependent on third parties. So my advice to clients and buyers would be, if they are sort of wanting a quick purchase, is to be proactive. The key to conveyancing and a quicker completion is obviously being proactive. If you've got buyers that have, you know, got all the information ready, they're responding to emails, you know, if we're asking for them to confirm something or bring their ID in, the proof of funds, the quicker they do that, the quicker we can action it. But obviously, as we say, we've got searches, we've got other solicitors, we've got sellers, we may be in a chain, we've got mortgage offers, surveys. So it is totally, you know, we can't, you know, give a time frame. And, you know, I always try and be honest with clients at the outset, saying that, you know, whilst we may have dates that buyers want to work towards, we will always note those and do our utmost to achieve those. But, you know, we always we can't guarantee anything because we are so dependent on third parties.
Yeah, and there's so many things in the process that are outside of your control.
Exactly.
So that's the one thing I always try and let buyers know is just you're going to have to be patient because there is just no definitive answer, especially early on in the process.
Exactly. I think the main thing is communication. As long as, you know, we as solicitors are updating, you know, the chain, the sellers, and, you know, we're working towards a common date. I think, you know, we've just got to be realistic with that and, you know, have a bit of patience sometimes with it.
Okay, good advice. So can you, Sophie, tell us a bit more to help buyers? How can they best prepare right from the start of the conveyancing process to ensure that things go as smoothly as possible? What would you advise?
Yeah, so definitely being prepared. So as solicitors, the first thing we will ask for is ID, proof of funds, source of funds. So definitely have all that information ready. You will probably have that at the outset with the estate agent, mortgage broker as well. But obviously you just ensure you've got the correct ID, the correct address, everything's, you know, registered properly and is as necessary for our checks. In terms of the proof of funds, there's two different things there. There's proof of funds. So if you're buying a property for 100,000, you've got a £10,000 deposit. The proof of funds is to check you've actually got the £10,000. The source of funds is establishing where those funds came from. So is it savings from wages, you know, inheritance, sale of an asset, a car? If so, that you've got the proper and relevant evidence for that. So most definitely, you know, being prepared would be my advice, because that just makes things so much quicker, so much smoother. We're not waiting on buyers to sort of scurry around getting things last minute. It's all prepared in advance.
We do well, not often, but sometimes we do get the question, oh, it's overseas and I'm struggling to get hold of the bank statements. And it's a case of, well, you're going to have to if you want to buy this property, because I don't think people always understand how much, you know, we have to do our due diligence. So that's good. So when people are researching and looking at their conveyancing options, they're obviously going to be faced with different options in terms of pricing. What advice would you give to a buyer in terms of getting the fairest price for conveyancing?
Most definitely, the first thing is obviously to do your research. Obviously, check out the prices, compare the solicitors, reviews, you know, word of mouth. There's any friends, family, you know, colleagues use solicitors. But what I would say is, like everything in life, cheapest isn't always best. So if you get, you know, a quote that's sort of £200, £300, £400 cheaper than the others, you know, be wary and just ask, is there any, you know, extra fees or any hidden fees, other costs to add on top of that? You know, I think you've got to be, at the end of the day, it's a service that we provide, and you've got to be, you know, willing to pay for that service. So I think, you know, with this, you get what you pay for. It's like everything in life, you know, everything is different, differently priced, different brandings, but definitely just do your research. As I say, check out the reviews. They speak volumes with what other clients and buyers experience, their experiences and what they've had from that solicitor.
I completely agree, and that's actually one of the reasons why we decided to use Beswicks as one of our referral partners, because when we were looking at options, you were the only conveyancer that had an average of 4.7 star Google reviews. So if anyone is looking at solicitor options, it's very rare that you come across solicitors that do have such outstanding reviews. So I think that's really important as well. And definitely cheapest is not always best, because having a conveyancer that's not working quickly and being proactive could sometimes be all the difference between a transaction falling through. And I don't think people fully understand, you know, the importance of it.
They say conveyancing, moving house is one of the most stressful times in your life. So, you know, that says it all, that you've got somebody on your side that's there to help you. And, you know, it's an exciting time, but it is also a daunting time and stressful time as well. So you definitely need a good solicitor on board.
Definitely. So, Sophie, thank you so much for joining us today. Honestly, I think that's been a really, really useful video for the viewers, really insightful. Loads of values come out of that, so thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So, guys, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future video uploads from the team here at DM Mortgages. Of course, if you need mortgage advice, if you're buying a property or you want to review an existing mortgage, head over to our website, which is dm.mortgage, and there you can book in for an appointment free of charge with a member of our fully qualified mortgage advice team. I will also put links in the description below as to how you can contact Beswicks as well for any advice on conveyancing. And that's all for today's video, so I'll look forward to catching you in the next one.